Welcome back to Divulgence, everybody. Today we have the motherfucking Occult Rejects in the house. We have Jules and Nick back, and we also have Brandon, Lee, and Headless Giant joining us. Gentlemen, what's going on? So happy to have you here. Before we get into anything, first, I'd love for, since it's your first time on the show, Brandon and Headless, I'd love for you guys to just take a minute if you'd like to introduce yourselves. Anything you want to talk about yourself and the kind of stuff you like to research. Brandon, why don't we start with you, man?
Great. Thank you for having me on the show, Jordan. I am looking forward to always conversations like this. Everyone can head over to Megas in the Media, YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok. We're trying to take over the world because the Archons are doing it before we do it, and we got to come at them with a community. This is how it gets done. I like to research all media of all kinds. I'm a huge nerd, so I love anime and comic books, but film, literature, I've got degrees in philosophy and classical literature, and so we break it all down esoterically, mythologically, philosophically, in every way that comes out of my noggin. And so there's all kinds of craziness in the world, and what I'm trying to help do is bring back myth, magic, and meaning to the world. This world is postmodern, it's functional, it's nonsensical, it's mechanistic, and the soul is being sucked out of it by some grand oligarchic fucking parasitic class. And so we might as well just become philosopher, warrior, king lovers. That's what we're here to do.
Make bards great again, dude. Make bards great again.
Exactly.
Give me a name.
Make Shaolin great again. That's what this hat is. Make Shaolin great again.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Headless, how about yourself, brother?
You can find me at the Headless Giant on X and on YouTube and on Instagram. I talk a lot about disambiguating and demystifying the sort of occult stuff that I think a lot of people just get tricked into believing is something more and something greater or something more offensive than it really is. And I'm a Hellenic pagan. I follow the pantheon of the Greeks. And I think it's important that people get back to their roots and start understanding the wisdom and philosophies of their ancestors in a way that is disconnected from a lot of the narratives that sort of weaponize it and use it as a tool of subversion. So definitely check me out there. Thank you.
Right on. Well, great to meet you guys, and great to have you guys here. And of
Dude,
course,
thanks for having us back. I think this is me and Nick's fourth time on the show, man. So, like I said earlier, you must really like us. Thank you
for sure,
Jordan. It's a pleasure to be back on, brother.
It's great to have you guys. How you been, Jules? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I had some time off recently. Got to hang out with the family. Got to have a mental break, kind of from reality. At the checkout for a minute. So great
nice.
Bill W. all around.
Do you guys have a family day in the States?
A family day?
Yeah, where it's
we probably have an anti-family day down here, but not a family day.
We had a family day here a few weeks back, every February. So
we try to make a family day in my family. Like at every couple of weeks, we try to take a day where we take some kids,
for sure.
Stuff like that. There's no holiday. No. There's no way that they would promote the nuclear family here in the States in this day and age, right? So
you guys are going in a different direction, huh? And Nick, what's going on, man? So good to see you. How are things?
Good. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you having us on again. I do want to just give a shout out to the other. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I was just saying thank you all for your time, and thanks for being here.
No, of course. I did want to at least give a shout out to the other rejects that are on the show because there is a lot of people, believe it or not, that's part of the crew. Just I don't have everybody on at the same time. We still got Robbie Marks. He's not here. We got Kyva Rose, Magus's girl. We got Judith. Who else? Ethan. I was going to call him by his email. Alpine. So used to that. Yeah, we got Ethan as well. So I mean, there are the people that didn't make it, but I want to just let people know that there's more to the crew than just this.
Right on. I appreciate that, and I hope that maybe I can meet some more of them in the future.
Oh, sure.
But it's sweet to round up a bunch of you guys at the same time. geez, I don't know where to start. I was thinking maybe we could start with just my curiosity with certain big things in the headlines, obviously. I guess maybe we'll start with the war. Do you guys, I know you guys all study the same thing, but I'm sure different things.
Yeah,
We're
we're all
very
very different. Yeah,
Yeah.
We're all on very spiritual walks. Yeah.
So I'm sure maybe one of you might have an answer, but like, are there any kind of crazy occult themes or underlining circumstances that you got, or even symbolism that you see kind of unveiling within the events, or just the war in general? I don't know if that's something that you guys.
No, I got it. I got one.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I got us. Don't worry. So this is obviously through my lens. But obviously we're in a spiritual war on a mega global universal level, and we can't see it any larger than what's going on right now with this Iranian versus the military industrial complex, which soaks up the integration of this small little space in the Middle East, integrating that with the American empire. And so this is a war that goes back so far, a long time ago. You get the Judaism versus Islam. That's such an underpinning of what everything is going on. And so what they want to do, because the idea is that, again, like I said in my opening, is that there's just a parasitic class, and they're trying to categorize everybody in these small little secular cult religions, even if it's a scientific materialist religious lens. And so right now, the biggest occult thing is that all of this is happening because there is something magnificent in the Middle East, because of the history. And because of that history, we are trying to control, we as in the American Israel coalition is trying to control that spot. But it's really important to know it's just not America and Israel. It's a combination of that and the Bank of International Settlements, the Vatican, and the military industrial complex, with whoever it is, those names that are above that are controlling the whole mechanism of things. And so off the top of my head, that's the first thing I can come up with, is that there is this thing that is going on, and it's called, big A, accelerationism of the end times. And that is what I see as this whole thing, because there is a massive power struggle going on with how we're going to control levels of disclosure, AI, and the evolution of the population.
Yeah, I think you covered it really well, but just to throw in there, they're using Bronze Age superstition to bring about Skynet. And you could see that with Peter Thiel focusing on revelations. You could see that with the Pentagon focusing on revelations. All of these groups are coming together. And even the 12th Imam, they call him Mahdi, is a big part of what's going on in Iran too. So it's like a prophecy war, all of these different forces. You're muted.
I told you guys I'm always muted. Yeah, no, I talked about this like an hour ago with my buddy Jacob on my podcast, or maybe it was last night with Jose. I don't know. I've done a lot of shows this weekend, but yeah, they did this Hadar ritual, or like this calling to Hadar for like their Iman, right? So they're calling for
the Iranians did. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And they're chanting, and you can feel it, man. It's dark energy. But it's the same kind, I guess, the same type of ritual that you would see with them kind of dancing, doing a little hodge around the cube, right? They're conjuring up this energy. They're bringing about their Moshiach, who they consider their Messiah, because they all have this end times. They're all kind of caught in this prophecy together, right? This Jewish prophecy. I mean, the Christians are waiting for Christ to come back, and the Jews are waiting for their Moshiach. So it's this 2,000-year-old war that they're bringing, they're trying to bring us into it. And it's like, dude, that happened in the desert. Most people who are, descendants here in America, we came from, the north, the forest, the mountains, right? Has nothing to do. We just shouldn't be over there. That's their thing. But I mean, it is unfortunate when you see schools of children being blown up, right? Yeah. And so like it's you want to be empathetic and be there for people, but it's like, you know, these people, it seems all these people have this like hate for us, right? Like this deep down, just this disdain for the American culture and people, but they love to receive handouts from us, right? They love to get what they can get and then kind of bite the hand that feeds, but it's okay because we are oppressors, right? But you know,
bite it hard, bite the hand that feeds. They bite it hard, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they're definitely. I know what you're saying about that dark energy, and that's kind of. I'm glad that you brought this up because that's kind of. I should have framed the question a lot better, and I apologize for that. But yeah, on the side of the Iranians and just like the different religions and who knows what kind of other groups or cults or what kind of are going on beneath it all. But yeah, I understand what you're saying about that dark energy and that and the whole them being a threat to us and them having that hatred for us. That's like a big reason why kind of Trump seems to be pushing the war or kind of justifying the war. And
yeah, you got Lindsey Graham, you know, he's saying, you know, your sons and daughters are going to go over there. They're over there right now. You know, he's spitting in our faces, that fat fuck. And, you know, it's disgusting, you know. And if there's people in that movement who are still supporting them after they have quite literally, you know, not done anything that they promised to do, they're doing the complete opposite. You are just as complicit as them. So,
yeah. What else was I going to say? Sorry. We actually have, speaking of since we're talking about the war, question from the chat about Netanyahu being dead. So there was I think they had like the security meeting and the news conference where Netanyahu wasn't there. And then shortly after that, I think they released the video of
him in the
Netanyahu
coffee shop.
No, this is the 6-finger video where he's talking, and then it turns out he's got 6 fingers. So then now what's that?
Do you have that video? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
yeah, no, buddy, I'll pull it up for sure.
Of the topic. Do you have the video? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Netanyahu actually released a video today of him in a coffee shop showing off his fingers.
Yeah, that's what I was
specifically for that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just getting to that actually. So they released the 6-finger video, and then I think it was really, really early today, my time, that like Headless said, he released this coffee shop video where he's talking about. He says, "I'm dead for coffee," and kind of just playing it off, and then he like shows off his hand. But then I go in the comments and I start looking because I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe this one's fucking fake too, right? And people are commenting right away on the coffee and how it looks like it should be spilling and it doesn't spill. And then he takes a fairly substantial sip, and it goes from being filled right to the brim to being filled right to the brim. So that's a little sketchy too. So here's can you see that, Jules? There's a picture there for you.
That's
we gotta remember this thing. We gotta remember this is that it's all fake. It's all shadows on a wall. I mean, these things are actually happening, but they're not happening whatsoever because media is fake 100%. There's so many psyops interacting all at once at all times. And so if we can first understand all of this stuff is meaningless, and it's a distraction for doing your own great work. There's only one work in this world, and it's to build your own temple, not the one in Jerusalem. And that your own temple is that which houses your soul. And these things are integrated and embodied. This is meaningless because what they want you to do is they want you to be confused because we are in the age of discord. And if the more you're confused, the more you won't ask the actual questions. Because if we understand that, go on, Well,
I was going to say, once you get into politics, you got to start worshiping another motherfucker than being in your own head thinking about yourself.
You nailed it. That's exactly it.
Well,
because people aren't smart enough to even know philosophy or politics, and so how can they even make up their mind if they don't understand critical thinking?
I like the age of discord idea, but that really does play well in the idea of the age of Aquarius, right?
Yeah,
and that age of Aquarius idea really should, garner future examination, because we're talking over the watery air right now. We're all on Wi-Fi. We're all connected by this watery air sign, which is the age of Aquarius, right? And what's interesting too is that watery air sign is associated with the Greek pantheon with this Ganymede character. And what do we see with the Epstein stuff? Oh, now everybody's pissed off about children. So there's almost like this repeat of the cycles of this whole kind of thing that's happening. And people are so focused on the characters and these ideas of these, I guess you would call them these heroes, Trump and Netanyahu and all these characters, that they're not actually seeing the forest for the trees, which is, hey, we're in a massive repeat cycle here. And if we could just take a step back, we might be able to harness these energies for positive things instead of the negative crap that keeps coming along every time we see these cycles repeat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That you're talking about being connected through the ether by these symbols. Look up at your computer right now. At the top, you're charging. Well, if your computer or laptop, I guess, is plugged up or charging, there's a lightning bolt in it, right? You click on your one thing, you see a couple symbols for the sun. You see a rune. You see the rune for growth. The Bluetooth. You see the moon and the do not disturb, right? So, like, I mean, it's display 2 suns on both sides. I mean, what's up? The symbols are everywhere. We use
I like
them in
the idea
everything.
that we're continually staring into the golden mean the golden mean rectangle. It's like this, and then it's the fucking Russian, Asian, Chinese dolls that go all the way in and out. It's a forever meandering thing that continually is trying to chase its own tail. So you get the symbolism of us trying to look at the back of our head when we never will be able to. Similar to the idea of, what's the meaning of like trying to make one hand clap? Well, it's trying to do something that is trying to break you out of your normal everyday thinking. And that's when we laden ourselves with signs and symbols. It's trying to either awaken something or it's trying to lull something to sleep. Because if it can get a hold of your nervous system, if it can get a hold of your limbic system, like the blue light does, it refracts at such a speed that it takes over the frequencies of the nervous system, thus producing cortisol, thus integrating with the limbic system, and then it controls you completely. They figured that out all the way back in with MK Ultra, how to tap into the brain.
Blue light.
How do you program? Because the blue light is doing exactly what Wi-Fi and everything is doing. So it goes into the eye, like we were talking about before. From the eye, taps into the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, and wraps itself around the nervous system. And so it's controlling you. Let alone the idea that blue light stimulates exactly what it's like out when it's noon outside with the sun. And so if it takes control of your hormone structures, and so you cannot produce melatonin and cortisol at the correct times of day, thus lulling you into a hypnotic, vulnerable state where then you're easily imprint vulnerable. And if you're imprint vulnerable, just like they do with LSD or other high levels of psychedelics, now they're doing that with the TV and then pushing all those signs and symbols into your nervous system. And then with that, there's packets of information that basically make you your own Manchurian candidate. That's straight conspiracy from Magus.
Well, I also want to point out that Harald Bluetooth, the 10th century Danish king that Bluetooth is named after, he betrayed his people and he converted over to Christianity, and his son actually tried to have revenge against him for being chopped out because he wasn't going to convert over to that religion. So Harald Bluetooth himself is sort of like this betrayer character if you look at it from a historical continuity lens. So we're putting the betrayer into our own phones and converting over to this new Aquarian religion.
Yeah. Look at me right now. I am the mic stand. The mic stand is me. Look at the background. I'm above the world, and I am being beamed down. The sign of the sun on this side. Fucking with people. Sorry, Jordan, but your background is perfect for subconsciously programming people with symbolism.
That red? That
there you go.
red.
Yeah, somebody screenshot it.
Yeah.
No, I'm being like beamed down over the pentagram. I don't know.
Well, I think it's funny too that
it's funny.
We have such a superstitious aversion to understanding the symbols that they constantly say are being used to control us. Like, let's actually dig in and find out what is dangerous and what is a good thing about these different symbols. And if we can't be honest about it, what are we doing?
And if you truly understand what these symbols mean, can they control you with them anymore? I don't think so. I don't think their magic can work anymore. I mean, hey, look.
I think that helps. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Oh, here we go.
Here's the coffee video real quick for you guys. And just I know it might be small on your screen, but like watch the coffee and how full it is. And when he grabs it, it doesn't spill. And then he takes a sip and it doesn't look like he took a sip.
The problem is this is crazy. It's proven.
You could,
it's a sure way to know my opinion.
Yeah.
That's
Okay, dude. That coffee didn't move.
With the first two, one thing that I noticed, because I use ChatGPT and I could look at like what paid people are making. Like I could look at some insane shit. One thing I've always noticed that they always do with their videos, which is always a dead giveaway, they always assume that this person who's filming always has lighting. You can tell lighting's being used on him.
Yeah,
they always, those fake
lighting.
fucking ChatGPT store shit always has like a lighting effect. And besides everything else, it's just, to me, that's a dead giveaway when you're looking at AI. Half the time, people are just walking around like this is as an iPhone. Who the fuck's got a light that's also shining it on it? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right on his forehead, yeah.
That makes it so the background is blurry. Yeah, all of a sudden the background is it's perfect. Yeah. And let alone if it's obviously staged, that could be whatever. Let alone it doesn't even have to be AI. He can have a fucking mask on. You know what I mean? Like, we all know that they put on CIA masks to like be presidents and high level people all the time. You know, so
some are saying, I've seen some people say that it's from an old coffee shop visit from 2024.
I'm also seeing people say he has to prove he's real.
Yo, nothing even moved in that cup for like as he was going like that.
Just theorizing, bro.
Right.
Think about him as a magician, right? What he's doing is showing his hands, nothing up my sleeves. Yeah. He's giving everybody the razzle dazzle. Exactly.
And he's laughing in your face, right? Yeah. Like literally.
It's literally like magic with pulling a rabbit out of a hat at this point.
Oh yeah.
Fucking crazy, man.
Which I actually think, sorry, just real quick, I actually think that whole misdirection with videos and propaganda like that, in my opinion, is a very Nazi thing to begin with.
Oh, for sure.
It's the same playbook, right? It's just who's using it. It's the same goes behind the symbols, the intention behind them, right? What's your intention behind the use of the symbol, or, whatever you're doing.
Right. Well,
in spiritual work.
Specifically for the Nazis, they copied everything from Hollywood. They just had their guys get in there, understand all these systems, and then reproduce it. And they did it better than Hollywood in a lot of ways. So it's like,
I'm
what's going on here.
I'm covering that. Believe it or not, Headless, I'm covering that, how they manipulated people to accept World War II, basically. How they used music and movies and basically got the people ready for it. And like,
yeah, Bugs Bunny was like the biggest propaganda.
Studies on that shit, dude. It's not bullshit.
Oh yeah.
No, the Nazis specifically used music in such a way to get their troops hyped up for the battle. It was specifically the tones that they were using and how they were focusing it. So, where we get the blue light from, this comes from the casinos, right? They wanted to have that blue light in the casino specifically, and that then got adopted into television, into the spread of this stuff, because they're learning through experience. They're not starting out from a place of what we're being ethical about this or whatever. It's just the mass human testing based upon where people want to go and what they want to see. So if you can kind of perceive it like that, all of this stuff is an experiment. Every single bit of it. We just don't know that we're being experimented on. Very cybernetic process.
You know, it's crazy. You just say casinos in this sacred architecture thing I did. I even mentioned a part that I found that that casinos, believe it or not, try to model their shit totally opposite of actual sacred architecture, so it fucks you up.
Yep. Disorienting.
Interesting.
Yeah, man.
Interesting.
I was like, yo, that is
I can see that. I can see that. And Headless, the blue light, is that, what are you referring to? Is that like they add the blue light into the lighting so that it keeps you more awake and alert to keep you
right? What they're trying to do is trying to keep you in a state of heightened stress so that you're looking for a way to alleviate that stress. When you've got the heightened cortisol levels, what they're trying to do is get you into a state of like, well, if I win, I can alleviate this stress where I don't know where it's coming from. The same thing with the computer. If I can find what I'm looking for, if I can scroll to the place that I want to see, then it alleviates some of the stress that's being produced by the blue light. But people don't associate stress with blue light enough. But that's what raises your cortisol levels in a noticeable way. So once you get out of the blue light matrix and you start to filter and you start to feel the red light, it produces a different effect. You can't understand the changes in your own consciousness unless you have contrast. And I think this is a big problem with a lot of the, DMT, drug maxing people, is they're not looking to find the contrast in everyday consciousness. They're looking to enhance and blow beyond that stuff. But really, it's understanding these subtle contrasts within your own life that betters you on a much deeper level than just by, blasting off and going outside.
Yeah, I was about to say, while you're living here in this place, right, on this plane, so I should invest in red light therapy equipment?
I wouldn't even go that far. You could buy little red LEDs that do a better job than most of these other. You're gonna get the big stuff,
bro. No, bro. I have red lights at home. I know what brands to get. You just DM me later, and I will tell you exactly what red light to get. No, it's not the same. It's not the same. You should go outside and you should get red light every morning and every evening, and then also don't wear, even in the winter, try not to wear shoes, and you got to ground yourself to the earth. That'll help reproduce your own. But the idea then with these red lights is it stimulates your mitochondrial reproduction at the cellular level. And so what ends up happening with that is that your cells reproduce faster and then they can reproliferate. Instead of things that kill it off. So know that high levels of blue light actually kills off gut bacteria. That's how fucking crazy blue light is for your body. It stimulates dopamine and serotonin dumps, like Headless is saying. And in doing so, it raises...
They're at, right?
Yeah, it raises all your... and then what it does is it puts you in anxiety and fatigue. And then when you're in that fatigue, that's when you can be, fucked, basically.
Fuck, dude. Okay, how do I know my glasses are like blue light resistant?
You have to buy. They're not. Unless you have them, put them in them, or you buy buy good ones.
Right.
I have like 3 different pairs.
Letting me know about it.
I got
watch
this kid too.
You got to watch Nick's special about the light, because he goes into a lot of the color wheel theory and stuff like that.
Invest in some blue light fucking glasses. No, I have to, dude.
I'll send you a good link
in the chat.
I'd rather be broke and live safe than. Then be ignorant.
Of course.
I don't know.
Especially
since I do.
Before we get off the casino subject, I used to work at a casino in the kitchen, so I wasn't always in like the casino floor, the game floor environment, but I spent quite a bit of time there because the kitchen and the restaurant is all one floor, and it's an open kitchen, and so. And you'd have to like walk through the gaming floor to refill certain areas and go to the washroom. And yeah, man, I felt so stressed like during and after my shifts. And like, I just hated the environment, and I got out of it pretty quick. I wasn't down for that at all.
I got a quick thing about it. So it says blue light in casinos is not just for aesthetics. It may actively influence gambling behavior by reducing sensitivity to financial losses. Right? Research from Finders University and Manassa University shows that blue enriched LED light commonly found on slot machines, video poker screens, and overhead fixtures can dull the emotional sting of losing money. This effect occurs because the blue light stimulates intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, just like what Nick always talks about, right? Which project to the brain regions like the amygdala and the habenella areas associated with emotion, decision-making, and reward processing. As a result, people exposed to blue light, heavy lighting are more likely to take risky gambles, even when the potential loss is significant.
Wow. There you go.
Love it, bro.
When I would walk through the casinos, whenever you walk through casinos, you just see these sad people like just giving their money away, man.
It's really depressing.
It's so depressing. It sucks.
I mean, it's so bad that it gives you cancer. I mean, blue light is the bane of existence, and they use it on purpose.
Oh.
And like, yeah,
that's right. I wanted to add something that Brendan was saying, like, you know, you should go out and like get those colors from the sun. There is a I'm sure Brendan knows it, Liber Resh. If you were to actually go outside and you're able to witness and do that prayer, not necessarily do the prayer, even if you just go stare at the sun all those certain times throughout the day, it would actually make your pineal gland like more optimal, because of those natural lights. Well, actually, like if it's at the right doses and it's natural, there is good uses for it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually, when every morning, as long as it's not freezing where I'm at, which happens, is my my LBRP practice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Into my Tai Chi practice, and so that's how that's my mornings of trying to make sure integrating those things.
My mornings are full of rushing to get my son ready to go to school. Dude, my son right now. By the way, if you don't have kids, have some babies. And have a son. I asked him to mow the front yard. Not only did he mow the front yard, but he weed eated it.
Oh, nice.
Sure, the backyard too, mowed all of it.
Damn.
Now he's pressure washing the back porch. He's 12.
Oh, he's asking you for something, dog. He wants something.
I pay my
It's
son
that limitless
allowance.
He's smart.
It's that limitless energy of a little boy. Once you get that harnessed, it is just
I know, and he is
focused.
Based, dude. He's like way too based to where I've had to be like, "Whoa, dude, chill out with the, hey." Very bright kid. I love him to death. He saved my life, man. I had him at a time where I was at my lowest, dude, and so
nice.
Make babies.
Having a kid will do that, man. It'll put you on that path of being that, that figure, that hero.
Absolutely. Well, back to the light. I think what Nick really tries to do with his show is to show people that these cranial nerves are stimulated in a way that affect your brain chemistry. So he's working on doing this with herbs, right? So these magical herbs have a stimulant effect on different parts of your brain, and those are involved in magical rituals. So what you're actually doing when you're doing these rituals is expanding the brain through subtle stimulation. And if you think about subtle stimulation as being sort of like weightlifting for your brain, once you can identify it and get into that mindset, you're actually being better able to sensitize and realize the shifts in consciousness that are in you and going on around you. I mean, one of the problems is we're overstimulated and under evaluating, right? So we're constantly looking for that next hit of dopamine and all the rest of this stuff. Whereas if you can understand the subtle stimulation of your brain, you're no longer dependent on those dopamine seeking behaviors, which I think is a very positive thing, especially in the age of Aquarius, where everything is hooked up to this dopamine generator we call the internet.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it goes back to alchemical principles of us trying to like qualm our animal lower desires, right? It kind of goes back into that. What were you saying, Nick?
Just to kind of like piggyback off of like Headless, even with him bringing up the herbs, which thank you. I really appreciate that. Besides like, all right, you will have these herbs that they will like, affect, some of your cranial nerves and will start to like do certain things to you. But now like, depending on what setting you're in, Like you think like maybe if you're actually at a religious building, now there's actually architecture possibly being used there. If there's music, that could be being used with the architecture. And like just from watching, just from like recording this 2-part series I have coming out on sacred architecture. And then I'm doing one specifically on Christian architecture. That one should be really interesting. There is a lot of stuff going on. If you're burning these incense, if there's music being played or any chanting, and then like it depends if it's something that you have to walk through, you'd be surprised that even certain ways things are made will actually make your mind start going different places or focus more. Like those Christian labyrinths actually affect you if you walk them. In some places where you walk into big rooms and it goes back to a whole big room over and over again, that actually starts to affect you. These things were built on purpose, and then you have like these herbs or these oils, drugs, technically in a sense, and music, all this stuff going on. It's set up to get you into some sort of space.
Right. And liminality is a thing often overlooked in our culture. But if you think about ancient magical practices are all centered around liminality, doorways, going through something, having the experience of entering and exiting a building. All of these things have to do with liminal spaces. So it's the space between the space. We even have Janus, the Roman god, being represented as this sort of liminal space. And they would only close the doors of the Janus temple when they were at peace, which was almost never, right? So they're always talking about this liminal space and how it transforms a person. Janus is where we get the idea of the janitor, right? Because he holds all the keys to the doors in a building, right? So
wow. Yeah, well, that happens in the month of January, right?
Exactly.
After the god Janus.
Damn.
Yeah, that's when the doors are open. So
right.
Nice.
So Janus goes deep into our culture.
He had 3 faces, dude. And then Robbie Marks told me it was somebody else, and I can't forget. I can't remember who that.
Think how often whenever you walk into a church, all of a sudden you just get quiet on your own. I mean, not even having that, it does it. That shit affects us for some reason. There's something going on there.
Well, when they make the cymatic effects from a church, what they're doing is they're taking a microphone, putting it in front of a speaker, and having total silence in there. So it's the feedback between the speaker and the microphone that amplifies the resonant frequency inside of that chamber, right? Okay. So that resonant frequency is always hitting our brain, whether we know it or not. And this is why it changes people in a certain way. But that cymatic frequency is oftentimes represented in the geometry of the space itself. That's how you get the resonant frequency.
There was places that I was covering with Gregorian chants, and the way it was built, it was reverberating in a certain way that it was like, that's the only way you're going to fucking hear it like that. Even imams, though, you would be all the way in the back of the room, and it would sound like the guy's in your face still.
Yes.
The way these places are built. They weren't fucking stupid back then.
No, dude, there's definitely that.
And you know what? In all of this stuff we're talking about, there was 2 things that weren't involved: dicks or demons.
That was our last episode, I think.
Yeah, man. No dicks or demons there. I was literally just thinking, Nick, before you said that, you said they weren't fucking stupid or whatever, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, like they didn't have all these fucking distractions like now, like all these dicks and demons and
it's a lot of science, as you know,
social media, pornography, and politics, and all this stuff, right? Religion. Well, they had religion, but anyway, you know what I mean.
Well, if we go back to ancient Rome, they have walls that are curved in Rome that you can hear for like yards and yards and yards, like hundreds of yards away. You could be whispering on the wall and the person would hear you over in that other space because they've calculated out precisely exactly how that sound is traveling without ever having the ability to see it on an oscilloscope or anything. So, you know, what we think of as a religious state of mind has a lot more to do with the science of the space than we give it credit for. So Are we being stimulated into religious states of mind when certain newscasters come on, certain colors flash on our screen? These are things that now they've shifted from the cathedral into your handheld device, and we really don't recognize it in the cathedral. Why would we recognize it in our phones, in our own hands? You know, this is very deep science that goes way back, and most people, you know, pass that over for more distracting things, which may stimulate those states of consciousness. The God helmet. Have you guys ever looked up the God helmet?
Oh, I want to use that, man.
What's the God? Yes, the God helmet. Let's look that up. Damn, I haven't seen that in a while.
Brandon, you know what that is? The God helmet, Magus?
I don't think so.
Do you watch paranormal? I know it because of watching paranormal shit. Like those things that like covers your eyes and I think plays like kind of surrounds you.
I've heard of. Oh yeah, I've heard of this before.
Now, you could stimulate this God helmet effect with just a couple of ping pong balls that you tape over your eyes. It's that space between the eyelid and the eye. It starts this hallucination effect, but they just amp it up using all of these different scientific ways of accessing the resonant frequencies of the brain to create that effect. Right. And it's funny to me
like
because
clockwork orange shit right there.
Big time. Looks like some Kubrick shit for sure.
What's funny to me is, you know, being a Hellenist, I look into goddesses like Themis. And Themis is the one we see out in front of the courthouse with the blindfold over her eyes, holding the sword and the scales. That's actually a Greek goddess. And she is actually one of the inspirations for ontology itself, right? She's the guardian in Parmenides' On Nature poem at about 700 BC. She's the guardian of the Queen of the Night, and ontology was developed in that poem, right? So she is the second oracle at Delphi. So the reason she has the blindfold over her eyes is not necessarily because, justice is blind. What she's actually doing is stimulating those parts of the brain that cannot be stimulated with the eyes open so that she can see the future. So, I mean, she's an oracular goddess, also an earth goddess.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
And that's also where the term mystery comes from. Mystery comes from the term mystes, which is behind closed eyes, which is then why if all you fucking psychonauts aren't actually shutting your eyes and wrapping yourself in a cocoon and taking psychedelics, you're a bunch of poofters, because you're not actually doing the real work when you're doing the psychedelics, which are supposed to induce vision. When you are finally so whacked out of your mind, your actual mind, you go into the liminal space, entering into a sacred realm, and then you can witness the great splendorous beauty, which is frightening. And so you have to go through those things, and that goes back to the ancient mysteries of why it was in a cave or in a sacred temple or in a sacred architectural building, where they can get rid of those stimulations or add those senses at the same time.
I would even say, like,
talk.
I know my show has kind of hit on both sides of that fence recently, and I think most people know that opinion. I don't think that you need drugs for that experience, but I do think one of the things I think Brandon kind of lightly touched on in his own way, when these people are taking this stuff, for the most part, they're sitting around with their eyes open. No, for me, you got to close your eyes and go within to get any answers.
Exactly, you have to.
You're just a fucking weird version of this world. Gotta go with
yeah, and I think that goes to the Lotus Eaters and and because in the Odyssey they're taking this drug that's like soma in like the Huxleyan terms, and by taking this drug you are missing out if you're externally stimulating yourself instead of going within to actually kill. Actually, like you can't kill the ego, but transmute that thing and do the great work. And like Terence McKenna said, that some of the only ways you can have these great experiences are through psychedelics. You don't need them, I would state. And I think you should not do it because you should get to those spaces without it. But it helps. And I wouldn't be me without the initial breakdown I had in my younger years, in my younger 20s, with high dosages of LSD and Tool, because those things are what brought me into my own sacred art and had myself go through an apocalyptic breakdown. And that's when, like, I think I tapped into the memory of my past lives, which isn't woo-woo. It's more like the remembrance in a platonic way. Not that all of a sudden I realized I was Jesus or any of these great, you know, Krishna or whatever, but it's the idea that I tap into that DNA memory of my own Akashic or Hermetic library. And so, yeah, I think that's a fascinating thing. And then there's certain music that can do it. So it's like you can listen to electronic trance music and psychedelics and have a somatic experience. But if you listen to, let's say, like I said, Tool, who does all their music in a sacred architectural way with sacred geometry and leading you into these things, I've seen some crazy shit because of that.
Wow.
You weren't listening to Undertow, though. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, Undertow.
No, not Undertow. No, I wasn't. It started with Lateralis. But fucking Rosetta Stone fucked my world up. That's where the true ending happened. That's what actually happened. No, not Undertow.
Undertow.
That's good.
If you know, you know.
You want a true apocalyptic event.
You know exactly.
Cover your eyes and listen to Undertow.
We also have let's see here. We have an older question that we didn't get to yet in the chat. I have a question. What is the panel's thoughts on Franz Bardon? Bardon, sorry.
Oh, I love that guy. He's his concordance of associations.
Who is and sorry, is that how you pronounce it? Franz Bardon?
Franz Bardon, yeah.
He's a Hermetic tradition writer.
Right. And he has this huge book of concordances, a lot like 777 here, but he's a lot more detailed with materials, right? So he's talking about these magical concordances on his book in a lot more detailed way than just the number and whatever. But having those concordances is really good when you're trying to come about with, your own ritual space. So Franz Bardon will go into detail on how these things are associated, and it's really interesting, his masculine and feminine ideas in his book. So Franz Bardon is something to look up. I think there's free PDFs online about it, but often overlooked occultist. I mean, he's one of those that kind of exists in the background, and people are stuck on OTO stuff. If you want to give him a try, he gets really deep into the European stuff as well.
Very nice.
Thank you for explaining that.
I'll speak on Franz Bardon. Franz Bardon's
go for
it. Just real quick. Franz Bardon gets a lot of shade, I think, in the occult community, just because his work is very, at times, flowery language. And so he's speaking in a certain way, but also it's like you need a large subset of information to go into doing his writing and reading. He's got so many volumes, I would say it as well, with his Hermetic Traditions book. So I think it's really good. And I think there's books for everybody in every nervous system. And so you just got to start reading things, and it's whatever truly turns on your nervous system into some kind of contemplative, reflective state. And Franz Bardon can do that for a lot of people because he himself is breaking down the Hermetic tradition.
I got a picture of him. So, again, people like to crap all over him for his eccentric style, but I find it really interesting and fascinating if you were to pull that up for us. I think people should know what their occultists look like, But I got it done. There we go.
Okay.
That's so funny. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I've even seen OTO members dressed up like that in certain ways.
J. Edgar Hoover, old Aleister Crowley looking brother.
Yeah. Or
Barbara Bush.
I mean, if you took some of my old photos, I think I'd look pretty shady too.
Right. It's fun. I think, again, you got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt, and it's all coming from their perspective. So what they say in the Kybalion is that there are no truths but half truths. And that's something to keep in mind, is that half of every truth is your own perception of it, whether or not it's the true reflection of the thing or not. What you're coming away with is half objective reality and half your own perception, if not 75% your own perception or 85% your own perception. So the truth that exists in the world is always filtered through a subjective lens.
Oh, in every case, dude. And I think, like what you said earlier, and I've been reiterating this a lot lately, I think it is important to look at your roots, where you come from, through that ancestral lens of your people, right? And not the lens of let's be honest, of the people who think that they are greater than you, and that they quite literally hate you.
Right.
Thousands of years have hated you, and I mean this is what we go back to talking about these end times prophecies and these I brought this up on my show as well. The priests I guess you could say the king priest have always ran the societies or the civilization, right? It's never been the actual kings. They've just been the puppets for these guys behind the scenes that are working with these spiritual forces, right? And so when you see or hear the rhetoric of the priest of the nation who is causing the most pain and suffering in the world, they are emanating, everything happening right now, let's if you're a conspiracy theorist, you can do your own research, but it ties all directly to this dark Kabbalistic priesthood that goes back to antiquity, right? And so I think it is important to look at a lot of things through an objective lens. Yeah. And I think it helps, right? And that doesn't mean, you have to change your beliefs or anything, but it does help you see, kind of where you are. And there's a lot of things I still have to learn. There's a lot of, I don't know shit, man, to be honest with you. There's so many things I feel now that I have to go back and look over, so many conspiracy theories and like all this shit that I feel like I may have been psyoped into believing myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I have but I do want to state there's a slight change in what Jules said, is that Alexander the Great was himself a warrior, philosopher, king. Nobody was pushing Alexander the Great around. It's the same thing that actually Peter Mark Adams is getting at in his book, The Game of Saturn, Decoding the Solobuska Tarokshi, the tarot deck. And what he is uncovering actually is that there are these secret teachings, and Jocelyn Godwin also is talking about it in The Golden Thread, that there are princes and kings that through time have been trying to tap into this golden thread. And so it was actually only in a certain time frame that Nietzsche talks about in his master-slave dialectic, is that he's saying at one time on our time frame, the priest class came in and started to pull away the warrior priest kings from the rest of our world. And then the priest class, the dark sorcerer class that you're talking about, started to kind of control the structure for the slave class. But in Peter Mark Adams' book, the Game of Saturn, Decoding that tarot deck, it was within that tarot deck, that exact one, that he figures out that there is this old initiatory rites that stems from the Mithraic cults of the Roman period that go back through the Orphic tradition, from the Orphic tradition to the Mesopotamian myths, and farther back, almost 8,000, if not 13 plus thousand years, all the way back to the civilization that was before the Younger Dryas period. And it was what Göbekli Tepe or what, not Hyperborea, because Hyperborea is not really it's not real technically.
Well, you know what I mean.
But not everybody does.
Slaves.
Yes, not everybody does. And so there's a differentiation between this Tibetan primordial Hyperborean space and whatever was going on pre the Younger Dryas period. But my point is actually that this deck this Sola Terra Boscucci deck was actually trying to tell people this Saturnian cult, which isn't negative. It's actually the higher levels of the Chronos and this golden age that is going on. That then what he labeled it down to is that these princes were learning how to be warrior magician kings. And in doing so, it taught them how to go out in the world with their people so they could, the princes were at the head of the game. And so they went and fought with their people so they could, take over lands and get food and trade and do all these things. But it was so they could bring it back to their holy kingdom, to their sacred space that they were designing. And through time, that got fucked. And now we have this inverted Saturnian cult black cube of Saturn nonsense that the fucking X Twitter, Instagram paper bag occultist wants to push, that all things are Saturnian devils, which that's dicks and assholes, and it's not actually true. But really what's going on is that there's this ancient Chronos Saturnian myth that we're all trying to uncover, and it's through the mystery traditions in this golden thread, and has nothing to do with evil, because that goes back to the non-dualistic lens, because these Abrahamic traditions are trying to state there's this all evil thing and it's objective when it's really not. That the evil is but the privation of the good, and it goes back to that Platonic understanding of the good, and everything that isn't is just lacking good. And so it's such a fucking twist up that we don't know how to get back to our own warrior magician king priest. So that's
if I could comment a little bit about that Chronos ideal, right? So if we want to go back to the myths and the Orphic hymns about Chronos, they talk about Chronos being the god of the golden age. And the golden age, like let's say the Garden of Eden, not just the Greek myths, they talk about being one with God on earth, right? This is the golden age. There was no separation between God and man. And so in that golden age, we also find the ideas of heaven and separation being hell and all the rest of these things that, the Greeks identified, that the, Romans identified. They worshiped Saturn, even though he was the god of perfection and decrease, right? They're not talking about increase. He's the god of perfection and decrease, right? Because they understood that during the golden age, there was a significant downfall from that. And so this constant return to Saturn and Saturnian images is about reintroducing the golden age to mankind. This is utopianism. And so what we find with the golden or the black cube that's always being circumambulated is the procession back to the golden age, to this utopian society, someplace beyond the veil.
Remember, there's gold that's all over the black cube, right? Circling are these gold, little patterns and lines. So, it's like wrapped in the golden age is the black cube of Saturn.
Gold is the considered the flesh of the gods in Greek. So they believe it was incorruptible and eternal and all of these different immortal properties to it. This is why gold had been held in such high regard, because it's very hard until, they came up with aqua regia, which is this strong acid that breaks down gold into a purple substance, right? So you've got the royal color of gold and the purple color of royalty, all right there within the aqua regia, all within alchemy. And it's the idea of the incorruptible. And what we find is that, Christianity, you bring yourself up to the golden age of heaven beyond the veil of death. And then with communism, they say we actually fulfill Christianity on earth, which is this utopian ideal, which brings about this golden age here on earth. And what we can find over and over again is this golden age mentality is being used to manipulate people into kind of hell on earth. So once you understand the Saturnian elements of it, you can say, I understand utopia better than you. I'm not going to fall for this stuff anymore. But the utopian era is supposed to come about after the huge culling. And Saturn is always seen as this culling god. He's got the scepter of adamant that he used to castrate his father, Uranus, right? And from his father's blood, you get Aphrodite, or the goddess of love. So it's through the immortal gods of love and all the rest of this stuff, a separation. The pole of heaven, it gets separated from the earth, right? This is the idea of separating earth from the heavens that they talk about in the mythology. That's where the golden age started to fall and falter. And so once Chronos was unseated, right, then we've fallen even more from this realm of the gods. And it's a very different perspective on it, but the idea of Chronos being the divine root of all of this stuff really does play out with all of this black cube symbolism. But if he's evil, if he represents the ultimate evil, then we too would be evil in that regards, because we decrease and die. So it's a very hard lesson for people to learn about the Saturnian imagery. But once you get it, it's like, I see it, I recognize it for what it is, and I'm accepting of it. I've created a new synthesis that is not of the same sort of utopian symbolism.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's another common mistake of mistaking the symbol for the literal thing. And because the idea of a promised land that is going on right now, or we're going to bring on an accelerated, beautiful age of humanity, is a myth. And the idea is that you're supposed to do it within your own psychophysical realm, the temple here. And then once you can do that, you lift yourself up from that dualistic state of mind and experience that Chronos, or that higher level of Saturnian feeling, which is just the idea of there are limits and boundaries. And once you have the ability to purge your own limits and boundaries, you have the ability to ascend to a higher state. Instead of trying to build some sacred holy temple that then is where we can fucking sacrifice children and do things like that, which is utter complete nonsense.
Hey, dude, you need to pull your sword from the stone, dude.
Well, if we look at the Mithraic cult, at the end of their ritual, they speak with the divine architect. And when you look at the Eleusinian cult, they speak with the divine architect. That divine architect is the holy root, is Saturn. So when they're accepting of the idea of Saturn and the world that he's created, it's no longer a burden on you. And what they would do after these Mithraic rites is serve fellow man, right? That was the goal of it. You meet the divine architect, you understand that you're mortal, you understand that you're limited, and you come back with new immortal knowledge. And that's the immortal knowledge of sharing and being kind to your people and being kind to these different, groups that are of a lower status than you. You're not using them and manipulating them for your own ends. What you're trying to do is be of service. You can find this in The Golden Ass, one of my favorite books, which is all about dicks and demons. Strangely enough.
Wolf bitches of Thessaly, dude. Wolf bitches of Thessaly, baby.
But there's this idea of dedicating your life to service after you've witnessed the divine architect of the universe. And I think that's what's missing from these Saturnian cults, is they're constantly trying to pursue the prophecies instead of actually pursuing a one-on-one relationship with the divine architect that made you mortal, that made you limited. And in a lot of ways, I think the immortal gods are jealous of our own mortality. They see things on a much different level. So they have to exist forever in the same state. We get to change ourselves. And that's through a lot of self-knowledge and forgetting of the past as well. So transformation comes by, forgetting the trauma as the sole mover of your life. It's changing the focus, changing the ideas of your own self. So
somebody in the chat, subliminal messenger, said he said golden ass. Take a shot, chat. Oh man, we love
there
that.
Was somebody who I had on recently when you weren't there, Headless. They mentioned the golden ass, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Really?
The guest, yeah. And I was like, "Oh, I think I brought you up." I was like, "Oh man, Headless."
What's this?
Yeah.
What is the
all right? So the Golden Ass is a book from the 2nd century AD. Right. So this was a Roman novel about a guy who gets transformed into a donkey. And so he goes about his life. He's trying to steal the magic of his cousin's wife, right? So his cousin's wife can transform herself into different animals.
A wolf,
right? No, mostly birds, right? So
okay.
he wants to transform himself into an eagle, and so he seduces his cousin's maid so that she can bring him some of this magic from his cousin's wife. And so he takes it and he realizes immediately she's made a mistake. It's not turning him into an eagle. It turns him into a donkey. And so for the rest of the story, he's trying to get back into being a man from being a donkey. And the one cure for his ailment is eating roses, right? So he's constantly on the lookout for roses. Now, what's the Rosicrucian symbolism there? It's like the soul.
That's the Lutheran symbol as well. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so once he finally achieves a vision of Isis, of all goddesses, he's begging Isis to bring him these flowers. And there's a procession for Isis in ancient Rome. The cult of Isis was still alive and well in 2nd century Rome. That's what they're sort of symbolizing here. And so once he has ingested these flowers, he turns back into a man and dedicates his life to the cult of Isis and Osiris, which were both in Rome at that time.
The mother and father of the mystery schools.
These are the mother and father of the mystery schools, and that's exactly what he does. He goes through the Mithridatic and Isis and Osiris invocation, and then at the end of the story, he devotes his life to being a lawyer for the poor. Right. So he's gone through the transformation and now he has something to give back to society. So not in this hubristic sense, he has now devoted himself to serving the god and goddess through his service to mankind. So it's a really different take on spirituality. And this also has the world's first donkey show, I believe, in there. And also some ancient Greek vampires that, actually disrespect him in one of the characters in such a way that it gets really golden showery in there. But I've gone over this before on the gods of the morning wood. So there are so many different ideas in this book that are influential later on down the line, especially for things like alchemy, especially for things like soul transformation. And everybody overlooks it because it's called the golden ass, which what they mean by that is the good donkey. They're not actually talking about a golden ass, like a whatever. It's just they're using gold in a euphemistic way as if he becomes the good donkey by doing this and submitting himself to the goddess.
Okay. Gotcha.
And in that story, he goes to Thessaly. And there's these women that turn themselves into wolves. And one of my co-hosts for Gods of the Morning Wood made a story called The Wolf Bitches of Thessaly. And in the Volsunga saga, which is a part of the, it's in the Poetic Edda. Right. Okay. So they go to Jotland, right. And, or Gothland, and these women there's this she-wolf that kills all of Sigmund's brothers, and then he or his sister puts honey in his mouth, and when she comes for him, she licks in his mouth and he rips her tongue out, conquering the beast, right? Conquering what I think is lower nature. He's out there in the wilderness. It's like this initiation that the Volsung kings went through. This is like ancient Viking lore. You see this theme in a lot of stories, but the wolf bitches of Gothland coming soon. Gods of the Morning Wood.
Nice.
That's all you are.
Patreon, baby.
Well, I don't know if there's any wolf bitches in the book, but it all does take place in Thessaly, which is really strange that they would have this.
No, that's why. No, you came on. It was the first time we read The Golden Ass on Gods of the Morning Wood. You came on, and in that story, one of the women became a wolf. I'm pretty sure, dude. My buddy wrote, Subliminal wrote a whole AI prompted
book about it, right?
Yeah.
But the witches in the story are more like vampires. So I don't know if they're werewolves or vampires.
Got you. Okay, you don't know if they were literally wolves.
Right. Well, I mean,
because
what they do.
Sunga, she was like a shapeshifter, and she was actually supposedly the mother of the opposing king who killed the Volsung king, who killed the father of Signy and Sigmund.
Well, in this story, these vampire witches, they pull out a guy's heart from his throat, and then they put in a sponge, and so he's still walking and talking until he takes a drink of water, and then his head falls off. So these are pretty evil bitches.
That's wild, man. No, we need to the wheel will land on it eventually. We have a show every Saturday morning, Jordan, called Esoteric Book Review, Gods of the Morning Wood. It's me, my buddy Season of the Rat, and Subliminal Messenger. And Headless and Nick come on. I think Ethan's come on one or two of them. By chance, I think y'all were supposed to do the trialogues that one morning, and y'all came into our show. And that was great. But Brandon, you're always invited. And Jordan, if you ever want to come on and read, whatever the wheel gives us. I have a wheel with like 25 different books, stories, fucking epics, all types of different shit, dude.
That sounds good, man.
Occultic.
So is that because you have different shows? So is that
live streaming on Saturday mornings to Rumble, YouTube, and X, and then an hour or two later, it's taken down and put on the Patreon on the Grey Pill Patreon. Yes, but it's something that everyone enjoys, hanging out at, and everyone's always there in the chat, joining in the discussion and giving their own 2 cents. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't, but we welcome all the criticism, that comes our way. So we love a good discussion, a good conversation, and if so, a good debate.
He's taking all the heat.
Hey, man, somebody's got. Look, I mean, I'm just searching for truth. It seems in all the right places, but these places are very, very hidden away from us, right?
Right.
They're not presented to you in the light that you're gonna eventually see them in. So
yesterday we actually
everyone's on their own path. Trust your gut.
Like we covered the Druids yesterday, right? Dude, so the mysteries of the Druids
and how the Druids were. I mean, they may have even been started, but definitely infiltrated by these Phoenician priests. I mean, it was talking about it in this book. And
the book.
Yeah, dude, it was wild. It's like, wow, we had to kind of sit there and think, like, this priesthood may have been infiltrated too. And right. So,
the tin trade in Britain is not really talked about too much, but the Phoenicians were mining tin in Britain for the Bronze Age. So they got all of their tin.
They were trading in Scandinavia, dude. Right. Like they were talking to the Skalds and everything, but no one really knows about the ancient, like Celtic mythology, the Britain, or the Albion mythology, and all that stuff. So I'm glad that somebody has to be out there talking about it from the lens of looking at it historically and not opposingly, or like even I just try to look at it.
We watched a short video about it was a silent film, but it was about the bringing Queen Elizabeth
into the Druidic order, dude. It's on YouTube. Right.
And a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, there was a thriving Druidic order, and that has to do a lot with her Germanic heritage. So, the Windsors aren't native to Britain. So what they had to do is they have to keep going through these rites of much older things to sort of justify the Windsor dynasty as ruling all of Britain, because they didn't, it was a Queen Victoria sort of thing. They come from Germany, so they changed their name to Windsor, and they did all this stuff because now they're at war with Germany during the First and Second World War. So a lot of people were very suspicious of their origins, and this is one of the reasons why they would do these Druidic rituals to get the people back. Oh, look, she's brought into our Druidic tradition, our roots.
The Germanic tribes, dude, like not only the Frisians, but like there were so many different tribes in Germania that were just wiped the fuck out, just killed mercilessly. They fought back. I mean, dude, they but I mean, yeah,
a good example of what Magus was saying was when he was talking about these different magicians and the orders that they were taking over. You could see that in the Oral Linda book. They talk about the Magus all the time. This is
Magi.
book.
The Magi. Yeah. We're reading the Orlinda next Saturday. I believe it's part 2 or part 3 on the Orlinda, and then part 5 on Mysteries of the Druids. We're going to be getting into the bards, Brandon. The chapter is literally on the bards. So if you're available Saturday morning, man, we'd love to have you there. I'd love to hear it in your tone and voice reading along. I'll send you the PDF. It's a W. Winwood Reed book called The Veil of Isis, aka The Mysteries of the Druids.
Oh, nice. I will record it, and you can fall asleep to it because I got that nice little, the baritone.
You do. I mean, you're rock in the chat. Guy in my Rumble chat, he falls asleep to my stream all the time, especially my movie streams, because I'm always talking about the movies and esoteric theories on every single thing we watch. Even movies you never think that you're going to see something. You're like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? But
I want to. I'd like to get into. I want to get into Epstein and see. Do any of you guys know of any occult links with Epstein or any wild stuff with that?
We talked about this a little bit last time. I think me and Nick came on.
Yeah,
we went through his library, and there was a lot of sex magic, right? Like a lot of books on tantric sex magic.
Yeah.
So we know he trafficked kids. Yeah. We know he was probably a fucking pederast and fucking was into that.
Well, he's a transhumanist.
Yeah. So there's a lot of new things we figured out, I guess. Not me per se, but just knowing that, I know he was into some weird shit.
Well, and I want to make it very well known what it means by being into the occult. It's such a broad fuck term that it's like it's just anything hidden. Anything occult means hidden knowledge. Not even hidden knowledge, just science, just the hidden
literature.
And it's and then esoteric means for the select few, and so it's something that's underneath the normal everyday, which is then I can relate it to the Christian term of when Jesus taught his people. He taught them in his apostles. He taught them the way, the truth, and the light, but to everyone else had to speak in parable. And I think that's the differentiation between esoteric and exoteric. Go, Jules.
How the exoteric is like the outside, it's like the exoskeleton.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Dude, like it's and that's when you want to get into Christ. I mean, when he told the Pharisees, like, you were hollow, right? You're nothing but bones hollowed out. And that's what I think a lot of people,
that's beautiful.
If you don't understand the esoteric nature behind your theology, that's like what I think it is. It's hollow.
You're LARPing. It's just a LARP, and you're not getting to actual substantial
where are the
practice.
Guts, right? Where's the heart? The spirit, even like what is God but a mystery?
And so the reason I even say that is because of Epstein into the occult and Satanism and whatever these terms mean. It's the idea that he as a human worships the physical body and is afraid to die.
Yes.
And because he's afraid to die, he's trying to figure out how to take his consciousness and live further than what his body can do. And the reason is because if he dies, he has to deal with his own karma, which is then so much different than what most people want to. And that's what's going on with this whole transhumanism movement, is that they're trying to live forever, and they've mistaken the symbol for the literal idea of transmuting my actual physical body so it can live a long life. And so I just think that's a very important thing for people to know, that like what we're doing with our work on the Occult Rejects and each one of our own channels is we're trying to help people on the path of individuation. That's an occultic lens as well. But what we're doing is we're trying to take the physical body, mind, soul state and have people understand that there are signs and symbols and allegory to the great work, which is trying to take your leaden self and lift it up to the gods. Or in Iamblichian terms, we're trying to take the God and have it meet us in the middle somehow. And that's more of a Taoist way of understanding the world, that man is but the middle path between heaven and earth.
The narrow path.
Exactly. And so when we do these things, that's what we're talking about, no matter which way we're talking about it. But when these fucking Epsteinian / far right like religious Abrahamic traditions or the scientific materialists say occult, they mean it in such a different way than how we're trying to understand the world. They're meaning it in a way that's fear-based, and it goes back to this idea of Saturn and Satanism being interpenetrated, and that we need to fear this absolute evil. And so it's just a common misunderstanding. And so that's my beginning of the Epstein rant.
Interesting. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think, again, even not to, because it's really not giving much of an answer, but I'll even add, like, there was some things I did find interesting. Like, I think I ran gematria through his Epstein files, and there was things where he did mention, like, he mentioned gematria in there. He even sent the link for Gematrix for people to use that. So, I found that interesting. But to kind of piggyback off of Brandon, and not to, like, beat a dead horse, but, when it comes to the occult, a lot of people who make comments about it or seem to have like a big mouth about it or an authority on it actually have never even practiced anything. Like, I'm not saying everybody, like, all right, this is the difference with this whole show. I'm not saying everybody has to be in an order to understand. So like I have been, so I know what it's like to be in one of those places. Headless is into his own thing. He does magic his own way. He does spells. He does all that stuff. He has his own technique. Brandon has his own stuff. He does rituals as well as I do. Jules, he studies. He probably reads more occult literature than most people I actually know. So he has his own way of doing it as well. But like, there's people, like, I'm just going to keep it real, and I'm not trying to like really attack this guy, but this is actually a perfect example. Is that the person, that Weishaupt kid that beat us in occult rankings? That's number one. Yes, I'm sorry, but that is proof to you right there that somebody who knows jack shit about any of this is dispersing information that's fucking just silly. The kid had never he's not even an armchair magician because he hasn't even studied this stuff. He just makes opinions. He's never been in a lodge, so he doesn't know what a secret society is like. So, I got him beat on that. He doesn't know anything about certain deities and certain pantheons and mythologies, so Headless has got his ass beat on that. He hasn't read any books, so Jules got his ass beat on that. You tell him Plato, you think you're actually talking about Plato, the fucking toy as a kid. So Brandon's got his ass spanked with that as well. Why the fuck is that guy got a fucking opinion about anything?
I like Isaac. I did invite him on my show to talk about Twin Peaks, and he was like, yeah, sure. And then he never hit me back. And it's like, I don't know any other podcasters or people in this community who are into Twin Peaks like me. I watched the entire 3 seasons on Patreon, Fire Walk with Me. Like, we have fucking shirts and stickers with fucking Bob and Laura Pont. Like, so it's man.
I'll just keep it real too. If I looked at Rune Soup,
you didn't have to come on my show. It's fine.
Rune Soup was on that list. Occult of Personality was on that list. Aeon Bite is on that list. There's actual people who fucking study, and this is their life for 20, 30, 40 years, and some kid with no experience in anything has a fucking say over all of us. That is fucking retarded.
Yep. And go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay, I was just going to add real quick, and then you can go for it. Because I'm a huge Kubrick fan, I bought his Kubrick symbolism book or whatever, and I felt robbed. It was pretty shitty. So
I'm just trying to make a really good
books. The Magic Behind the Mic, and he points a lot of the hip hop stuff out that's in there. He actually points a lot of very interesting things out. But I mean, that's about as far as it goes.
But is it all dicks and demons too?
Yeah, kind of.
Probably.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, it's
that's what sells.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based off what hip hop artists like do and say, the symbolism and stuff. And he does study symbolism. I will give him that. But, and this may go to looking at it through a certain lens, right? I think he may be
as an outsider. He studies it as an outsider. It's an emic versus an etic understanding.
Okay.
Well, right there.
Like I said, I was just kind of let down that he didn't want to talk about Twin Peaks with me. I was a little upset. There's no hate there though, and but I understand how you guys feel. And Nick, I didn't even know that we were placed number 2. You said?
Yeah, in occult, we were beat by a hit. We were number 1 in esoteric, but it is and again, I'm not just saying.
Whoa. We were number 1 in what?
an esoteric podcast. Top 7.
Hey, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Sorry if that was loud, but let's fucking go, dude.
And in the top 1% of all major podcasts as well. So I mean, that's pretty much up.
Shout out to the one of the guys who inspired me to be so esoteric Eddie. Love you, brother. Shouts out.
I love to get him on
wearing the hat. I think I can get him on the show soon. He's just
I had him on
the family
years ago. Cool dude.
Dude, the Moloch thing before, because now there's a lot of people talking about it. Eddie's been talking about it since he was going on Tinfoil Hat. They just never really got into the subject about it being a Molech sacrifice, not a deity. You can't find the deity in any writings or any, there's no representation of the deity. The bull is Baal Peor. It's Baal Hadad. It's all these different balls and Baal Shaman. But that's represented by like these, because then you get to him and Baal Haman, and it starts to look like more Romanized, or like Zeus and like these like guys with beards and
Carthagenized. I think.
Carthagenized. There you go. But yeah, man. It is what it is.
When we talk about occultism, I think a lot of people think occult means deception. Occult means hidden, right? And so what we're trying to say is that it's not a lie to say that there are hidden roots to a lot of the stuff people believe in today. There are hidden roots. You've got to find it for yourself and re-occult the occult, right? So you have to be looking for the hidden so that you can, de-occult the hidden. And what a lot of people don't realize is that creating this fear and this ambiguity and this constant, rumor mongering about this stuff does nothing to de-occult the occult, right? So if it's hidden, I think of it like this. You've got the roots, you've got the stem, you've got the leaves, and you've got the flower, right? So if the roots are rotten, the flower is going to be rotten. You're not going to know that until you dig up the roots and you actually find it for yourself. But, these things can be manipulated far more easy if it all goes behind the veil of dirt. And the more dirt you pile on the roots, the less actual vision you have of the system and how it works and how it's connected to all of these different things. So you've got to actually dig in and look at the actual roots of this stuff so that you can understand how the stem, how the leaves, how the flower is blooming. And unfortunately, if you don't look at the roots, if you have some superstition about the roots and how dangerous they are, you're never going to understand how the flower and the leaves and everything else is working in that environment. So you got to de-occult the occult by actually being honest about where these things come from. And we've got more anthropology than ever. He was bringing up emics and etics before. This is such an important tool that people can use. Are you actually backing up your words, or are these words just hollow things? And the difference between emics and etics is action and behavior, or action and words. These are the two spheres that we're dealing with. So let's look at the actions and see what they produce, as opposed to just going by people's words and seeing that instead. So it's so deep, but once you dig in, you can start to get to the roots a little bit better. And the path of nature is within alchemy. And so what you're supposed to do is understand that everything has a root. Everything has a root. So all of these ideas come from a lot of other ideas that have been spliced together back into the primordial age, and they've come together as this plant that we see in front of us is the establishment. And we got to actually pick that apart.
Absolutely, man.
I did have a question. I was just looking up some Epstein stuff. And under esoteric interests and objects, there's this occult literature, of course, that we talked about before. But we also have documents revealed Epstein acquired 3 pieces of kiswa, the sacred black and gold cloth that covers the Kaaba in Mecca. Kaaba. These were shipped to his residence in 2017 for unknown reasons. This is
the weird thing with him. He also ordered like a ton of penguin pineal glands.
Oh, penguin pineal glands?
Yeah.
Get the Fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah. Yo, I someone sent me that last interview he did. I had multiple people send me that last interview.
4 penguins.
I haven't watched it, but I had a lot of people say that there is, in their opinion, has occult undertones in certain things he says. I haven't looked at it, so
he talks in these kind of cadences like Trump does. Like he's this.
Are you talking about the Steve Bannon one?
Yes, I had seen it. People like,
so
Bannon's a chaos
I'm gonna do a whole live stream on it where I break it down, because I'm actually reading a bunch of the works that they're stemming from. So there's like different people, the traditionalism, right? Traditionalists like Julius Evola and Rene Guénon and these different characters who actually have a lot of great things to say. I don't care what anybody fucking says. There's so much brilliance in the Hermetic tradition that these guys, in the mystical traditions that these guys are breaking down. But characters like Steve Bannon, and I highly recommend this book actually, War for Eternity, even though it's written by some poofed or liberal, but the idea is that it's truly like helping us understand what has been going on historically through these accelerationist cults that are going on with these different traditional versus progressive this warfare that's been going on. And so I just lead it to Epstein and Bannon, because these two, Bannon plays this game where he tries to act like he's a dodo brain, and he's not. This guy knows exactly what he's doing.
I just said he's a chaos magician. He's another chaos magician.
But the thing is he's not a chaos magician. He's a traditionalist, and he's so well read on the mystical and magical aspects of the occult and different things like that. It's fucking crazy. And so to be able to break down this conversation with these two individuals through the esoteric and the occult lens will truly give a good understanding for the different games that are being played on so many different levels, which is why it's so hard for the common person to even understand what the fuck is going on these days, and why I think people work like the Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson is one of the most important reads for this day and age, because once you understand that there are all of these different small little mystery school cult / ego personalities from all walks of life, and that there are like 23 different constant conspiracies at all times, and that nobody is fucking driving this planet, and we want to think that there are. I think that's the greatest understanding, because then you can bring it back to your own nervous system, which is what this book's trying to say. The Illuminatus trilogy is that you are the magician and you are the person that is the priest.
I was going to say, do we drive this planet? We're trying,
and yes, and Buckminster Fuller is talking about that with his idea of the manual for Spaceship Earth. Is that manual is to then tap into your own nervous system through certain practices and become your own priest, warrior, king. You know, that's. I just think you hit something perfect, Nick, when you were bringing up this fucking conversation. Because why is Steve Bannon talking to Epstein and trying to like coach him through some kind of marketing ploy of trying to make him look better? You know,
I think he thought that Epstein was going to live and they were going to get through it, and yeah,
he did. Who fucking knows? Epstein could be alive right now. We don't fucking know.
You know Bannon he was like hooting and hollering for him and saying he was innocent with all that shit. And originally, when it first came up, he also put money. And then, like all of a sudden, like MAGA people think like Bannon's like a good guy, and it's just like what?
It's great. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's wild. It's the good guy thing. It's like, oh, he's trying to save us. He goes, no. If we can understand the accelerationists that are trying to move us through chaos, it's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I had a kind of an interesting sort of, I guess you could say, Epstein connection. So there's recently been a connection made between Epstein and the Epstein twins that wrote the screenplay for Casablanca. So I have it picked up here on the screen. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen there. So yeah. So Julius Epstein and Philip Epstein wrote the screenplay for Casablanca, which Casablanca, if you don't know, it was about this sort of a spy hub, right? And with the idea there is that they made a neutral territory, so all of these people from different warring nations could come together and figure out the details of their horse trading at this Casablanca. Now that's also the White House, right? So the idea is with this Epstein saga, one of their sons wrote a book that was all about this kind of a thing. Let me see if I can pull that up there. So the Epstein twins had a son that wrote a book that almost specifically beat for beat lays out the life of Epstein.
Oh, this is that thing you sent us the other day. That's crazy. That
Right.
fucking thing is crazy.
Oh, I'm excited.
Right.
Excited.
So the son of Philip G. Epstein, one of the famous Oscar-winning twins who wrote Casablanca, Leslie wrote in 2003 a Drive novel from memory. That's not it. Let me see. San Romeo Drive. Leslie, but anyways, this guy who wrote the book, one of the sons of Philip Epstein, looks almost exactly like the Epstein that we know. And so his book was a lot about Epstein, which is really weird. So yeah, if I could find that real quick, I don't know. You can come back to me. I'll find the video. But it's so strange how these themes of like cloning and twins and all the rest of the stuff come up around this Epstein guy. He had this Zorro Ranch where he's supposed to have these women that were just pumping out his babies. I mean, what's going on with that? Is that related to these other
babies,
twins?
man? And have I mean, I look at my wife and I still think to myself, you know, like I want to put 20 babies in you. You know? But
What is this, alien?
I mean, is this dude looking at like kids
good.
saying that? You know what I mean? Like, no, dude, you should be taken out back for that. So that's where it gets weird, is like, you know, the consent age for these people. But then you look at some of it and they were like 17, you know, and then like went on to model and still like, you know, I mean, I know there's that one chick that came out. What was her name? Victoria.
Virginia.
Yeah. Then she died.
Guthrie, yeah. Suicide.
Oh, no, you don't fucking say.
Apparently.
Wow.
Allegedly, it was a
Wow.
Allegedly.
I didn't know that. Like, I knew she had maybe died. I didn't know it was a suicide. Wow.
Yeah, weird.
Of course it was.
Uncanny. But yeah, dude. No, I mean, I don't know. I encourage people to have kids. Dude, my son that's amazing. I have to pay him. So guys, if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/GrayPillPodcast. Yeah. JC will plug you in.
Always marketing. Jules always got that marketing plug going on.
I have to brand, man. I have the merch, dude. I have fucking after 2 years, man.
Oh, I'm coming out with merch soon.
1,300 followers.
All right. I got it pulled up. So it's King of the Jews, about this guy named Trumpelman. Right? So King of the Jews is Trumpelman.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
It's a Leslie Epstein. It's a dark satirical novel made in Nazi-occupied Polish ghetto during the Holocaust, based upon the events of Lodz Ghetto. The story follows I.C. Trumpelman, the eccentric and sometimes menacing director of an orphanage, who's chosen the head of Judarant. Now, this is the kid of one of these Epsteins. This is Leslie Epstein. And so the King Dilemma, the title refers to Trumpelman, who believes that by cooperating with the Germans and organizing the ghetto into a productive industrial unit, he can save some Jews, sacrificing the few to save the many. And now we're in a war where they're sacrificing the few to save the many by Trumpelman. So this novel uses elements of dark comedy and absurdity to portray the impossible choices faced by Jewish leadership under the Nazis. So it explores the idea of moral ambiguity, right? So what better way to describe this stuff? And this was back in 1979 when he's writing this. And if you look up, let me see a picture if I could get Leslie Epstein here. So look at this guy's face.
Oh, come on.
He just looks like a more Jewish Jeffrey there.
It looks like it's like his brother. There's exactly
Yeah.
And this is one of the kids of the Epstein twins that wrote Casablanca, again, sort of like a spy novel. So, these guys are spies and they're doing all this stuff. It's crazy.
With some synchromistic shit, you know what I mean? It's like, it's so crazy how it's easy to like wrap certain ways of thinking about it into our mind. I like the idea of cloning, or I like these ideas. It's more imagination, sci-fi. And as we know, reality is stranger than fiction. But there's also another way of like trying to understand what the esoteric or the mystical or the magical traditions are trying to do, and it's trying to truly understand consciousness. And so if we can understand that consciousness isn't exactly the way we think it is, nor can we ever actually truly talk about it, we can have a better understanding of what Carl Jung talks about synchronicities, and being that these pattern making things that happen through time that we can see. And I like to think of it as ways of remembering the true nature of the strange and the weird. Because once we understand that consciousness is this malleable thing of it trying to continually wake you up, as in like, don't you see? I'm going to slap you in the face until you realize that you are a mortal god. And then once you realize that, you can actually start to like not even let these things worry about them anymore. And then you can start writing your own fiction, as Aeon Byte, as Miguel always says, write your own gospel, live your own myth. And I just think that's such an important aspect of all this. No, that's Miguel.
Did you just put that into a song?
That was my voice. Yeah. See, I thank you. I've been practicing my Miguel Connor for a long time.
Wow. No, shout out Miguel. I had, shout out Aeon Byte. I had him on the show talking to Cold Elvis and Bowie and Gnosticism. It was great, man.
Miguel's a
great guest. Great guest. I really want to have him back on again soon. I think my wife wants to interview him. So Babylon. I'm going to be doing some Babylon episodes here soon, guys. So expect,
On the opposite
talk about the divine feminine. Whoa. So demons. Ooh.
The opposite end of the synchronicity sort of wormhole is retrocausality, right? So what we see as being related in the past could be the form of this sort of synchromysticism coming together and forming future events. So all of these different people around certain things might be retrocausality influencing the future. Let's say Back to the Future Part 2, where you've got this Trump-like figure owning the world from the top of his casino, and you've got this other book about how, this
Snake Eyes,
Baron
Snake
Trump.
Eyes.
Snake Eyes, Charlie Kirk.
That was a good one.
Charlie Kirk.
One.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in a retrocausality way, like we're getting sort of waves of synthesis happening where this fiction in the past embeds itself into our minds, and then that comes out as maybe unexpected or partially related events in the future. So it could also explain a lot of the what do they call that, where you think something happened and then you look back at it and it's not there. What's that called? The Mandela effect, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got these Mandela effects where maybe this is a retrocausality thing as well. So if we can explore the nature of consciousness more, I think we can come to more concrete conclusions when it comes to this. But retrocausality is an interesting thing being studied by science right now as a means of communication using all of these new quantum computing devices. Is that messing up the retrocausality field or the quantum field around us? These are unanswered questions, but as we come into more of these events, I mean, who knows what movie is going to be coming true next?
Headless, are you familiar with the Baron Trump books?
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. But again, that goes way back.
What you talking about too? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
no. It's all about time travel. And I was talking today on the trilogues, time travel from the outside. We always think of time travel from the perspective of the protagonist, right? So he's just traveling through time and he sees himself as a mortal human being. But what would everybody else see this person as? They would see them as a god. Right. So in our perception of time travel, there is the godhood sort of thing happening. So, what could be a form of time travel or something is happening on a retrocausality level. It sort of elevates these people to a divinity or some sort of apotheosis by breaking these space-time barriers.
Crazy. Yeah. I think, I'm interested in that. And that would be a great topic to do some like deeper talking on, deeper discussion on. Because like, I think that's real for sure. I just feel like almost like when you can connect those dots, and you notice those connections and similarities and coincidences, whatever you want to call them. I definitely feel like there's an energy that almost gets unlocked within, and you just comes without, and you kind of feel it. And I think that's real for sure. So that's interesting. I appreciate you putting that up.
I got some really disturbing retrocausality that I brought up on the Headless's Magical Mailbag. So there's the Babylon cylinder seal. If you want to look that up, Babylon cylinder seal. It should be one of the first things that pops up. But just looking at it gives you real pause about what we're doing over in the Middle East right now. It's kind of disturbing.
And just pull an image up.
Yeah, pull an image up. Let's see what we can do with this. No, that's not it.
This one?
Look up Babylon nuke cylinder seal or nuclear cylinder seal.
Okay. Oh, I bet it's this one.
Yes, sir. So this is these cylinder seals were used for magic as well as for signing a person's name.
Come on.
Dude, that bomb was brought here by an exiled Nibirian king, dude. Face on Mars.
So you see,
that's obvious.
Even the radiation, and you got these arrows pointing down as this king is dropping this nuclear bomb. So you want to talk about retrocausality? What are we looking at here? And
look at the hair on this guy dropping the bomb. Look at that hair. Look at that hairpiece.
Not quite Yakub, but Alelu.
That's a Trump hairpiece.
The wife of Enki, her father, brought all the weapons of destruction here, and then Anzu, one of these lower ranked angels.
Now, hold on. They're saying that this is created by Stephen Parker. I'm not sure who Stephen Parker is.
Okay, well, never mind.
This could be a myth, but again, like it's really hard to get to the truth of anything.
But if that's, who's Stephen Parker?
I'm not sure. Just a note for when you see this Babylon cylinder seal, it's in fact a product by Stephen Parker at Acme Clockworks, where he states, over the years, Stephen Parker has been active in the design and manufacture of products in two industries, toys and jewelry. So yeah.
So he must have read some Sitchin.
Maybe they're trying to, hyper-stition this into reality.
Mm-hmm. I think it's, I really think it's all symbolic all the way to the wrestling matches and them being castrated. But,
you guys got to be careful about what you imagine and bring into reality, because a lot of people.
I've read the ancient Mesopotamian myths, but I've always viewed them through like an esoteric lens, a physical lens, like a symbolic lens. You can find the thing is when you read them before. I read that shit before I had read the Bible. And once I started reading the Bible, the Old Testament, I was like, all right, well, I've read this before, and then right. Oh wow, I've seen this before. This is weird. This name is actually this name. And,
shout out to Dr. Heather Lynn. I think everybody should read her book.
I need to get her on, Brandon.
Revelation. Yeah, she's a hard woman to get a hold of. She's very busy, but you definitely should. Yeah, Anunnaki Revelation. It's basically what she does is she takes through Mesopotamian myths. Yeah, Dr. Heather Lynn, Mesopotamian myths of Enki and Enlil, and through her renegade archaeology, right? She's an archaeologist. Mm-hmm. She talks about them through an ultra-terrestrial lens and trying to see that the Anunnaki are actually exactly what the Enlil and Enki are, which then stem from the pre-Younger Dryas period where she's connecting it to the Göbekli Tempes and all those types of things. And so she's brilliant. And ultra terrestrial being that through certain practices, these old magician warrior priests understood the cyclical nature of our planet, and in doing so they could see when these time periods are like going over where everything will be destroyed, and then they collect everything and do an off-world civilization for a little bit as our universe goes through these things, and then all of a sudden they come back and they give the people who survive the Neolithic / hunter other tribes the rules and laws of how to live a life, and in doing so it rebuilds civilization from the ground up, from the ruins of the old world. And that these gods, or the people who are above the Anunnaki, I can't remember the name right now, but those are seen through being able to fine-tune the nervous system through these magical, mystical, and religious practices to be able to then speak to them. And that's how we get to Epstein, Steve Bannon, and what the oligarchical parasitic class are doing today with their building, and where did the $27 trillion go that Catherine Austin Fitts is trying to talk about with this off-world civilization as our own planet goes through its own cyclical nature. So this isn't new. What we're seeing right now, it is the old myth coming true, where now the people who are empowered think that they can talk to ancient Sumerian gods, as Tim Dillon says in his hilarious fucking skit. And when they're like Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, as he's talking right now, he's doing a fucking talk in Europe about the Antichrist that no one else can get into. You got to have a special little... Yeah, in Spain, you got to have your own special little thing to get into his talks. And he's, they're all talking about these same things. And so that's why it goes back to Dr. Heather Lynn, because she's like digging up the dirt of trying to understand what is going on and why archaeology isn't catching up to like the Graham Hancock type of thing of the day. That we are a civilization with amnesia.
Big time. And I think a lot of people don't realize that once the conversion over Christianity took place in the 4th century AD, 90% of the classical texts are missing from our history. All we know of are the references made in those texts to other works that have disappeared. So that's just like a head injury. We don't have that stuff to be able to measure against. So the stuff we do have is heavily weighted in one direction, because that's sort of what the scribes were told to write down. If it wasn't for a bunch of scribes going against these edicts, we wouldn't know anything about the classical world, which is really sad to think about. And now we're going through another great reset. So enjoy the show, guys.
That's why it's like, how will you?
Which is why the magical practices are so important to do. Why getting in and fine tuning your nervous system with the Hermetic tradition, or whatever tradition you want to find yourself with. And then I'm going to shout out to Nick of the Occult Rejects right now, and like he's bringing on all these amazing voices in the spheres of magic, mysticism, archaeology. Like I would have never met Dr. Heather Lynn without Nick bringing her on and us having such a fucking brilliant conversation. And so it's like some of the only, like the reason I started Magus in the Media, let alone, is just so I could get my own voice into the pool of the public square. And I think that when more people, and then you get somebody like Nick being able to bring these characters on and interview them, that's how we change the world. And that's one of the only ways to change the world, is to get your voice in the public square. So again, Don DeMarco, fucking Nick of the Occult Rejects, the Cardinal Electric Head himself.
Thank you. Well, I will say, I've even said it before, it's like a two-way street. These people got to know who the fuck I am if I want to make a difference.
It's so true. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, man.
I just got to put my folder with my name inside their head at some point. That will probably happen coming on the show.
Well, guys, I think this is a perfect time to call her a day. I know you guys are all very busy. I appreciate all the time you've given me, and it's been a pleasure meeting you, Brandon and Headless, and Jules, Nick. Obviously, I love hanging out with you guys, and I'd love to see you all again. Before we get going, though, obviously, I'd love to give you guys some time to let everyone know where they can find you, promote any of your work. So we'll go around the round table here. Why don't we start with Jules? You first, my friend. You're up. Batter up.
Yeah, man. Thank you again, Brandon, for having us on. And, this is the third. I said at the beginning this was the fourth. This is actually the third. I don't know why I thought fourth. But thank you again for having us on for the third time. Guys, if you want to follow me on X, you can follow me at GrayPilledPod, and then Instagram at GrayPilled_podcast. Over on YouTube and Rumble, try to get me past 1,000, please. I'm almost there on YouTube. A little ways to go on Rumble. Apple Podcast, Spotify, because I am not allowed on Spreaker for some reason, unknown to me. And then over on Patreon, if you want to support the show, patreon.com/GrayPillPodcast. Gods of the Morningwood is over there. Got some other exclusive stuff that we're doing along the way, especially here in the new year, right? Because for me, the year just began. It's spring, the winter is over. And so it's time to be reborn, guys. And go and buy merch from me. You can go get a hoodie like this. I have a hold on, give me a second. Sorry.
Don't be sorry, buddy. This is your time. Your time to shine.
Oh no.
He's burning up.
Hand of Sabazius shirt. Yeah, redid on AI.
Yeah.
And one of the mini hands, which I have an episode I'm going to be doing soon, dive on Sabazius, the Thracian rider, and the mini hands. I have a great PDF that explains different cultures, what the hands represented, the symbols on them, the hand of the mysteries. And so, I got a lot of other cool shirts like this over there, some Volsunga Saga shirts. All the designs I remade in AI and put on there. They're not stolen or anything, so don't try to fuck with me. And go over to the Occult Rejects and follow us over there. We have a lot of cool shit we do. Gods of the Morningwood every Saturday morning. Next week, we are reading. What did I land on? Was it Mysteries of the Druids? We landed on the Darkening Age, but we landed on the Orlinda as well. So I think if you can make it, Headless, we'll do the Darkening Age. But we could do 3 books. Hell. But that's the Patreon show we do Saturday mornings. And then we have a show called Rustic Gods that me and Headless do. Nick is always there. And I think Brandon was at the last one, which was a great episode, where we go over the Greek rustic gods and themes in that culture. A lot of cool shit that we talk about on that show. But yeah. Again, guys, crush that Chaos Serpent. Crush Typhon. Fear nothing, question everything, and stay gray-pilled. Jordan, thanks.
Thank you. Nick, you're up, my friend. Go for it.
Oh, thank you very much. The Occult Rejects. It's on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, all major podcasts. We do also have occultresearchinstitute.org. If you're into reading, you can go check that out. And just keep an eye out on the channel. We got a bunch of big people coming on soon, hopefully in the future. So keep it interesting. And I do have some interesting stuff coming out that I'm doing by myself. So if anybody wants to hate anybody, they can hate on me and not the rest of everybody else. But I will be trying to maybe. I just want to try to educate some Christians out there. So I got a lot of shit coming out that's back to back to back to back. So it should be interesting. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Brandon, go for it, my friend, please.
Let's hit it. Yeah, just head over to Magus in the Media, where we're breaking down myth, magic, and meaning, and the stories that you and I and we love. Lots going on, lots of craziness, but all that matters is that you're your own magician, warrior, king, lover. Don't forget the inner romantic and the inner bard. Just go subscribe, like, and share, and make sure to watch all these other people, these great people's works. We're just trying to change the world one nervous system at a time. Thank you, Jordan. I had a fantastic day. I am so appreciative that you held this conversation for us all to have, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you, man. Headless, last but definitely not least, please go, my friend. You're up.
Thank you for having me on. You can find my show at The Headless Giant. And if you have any strange occult/esoteric stories, you can send them to the Headless Giant podcast at gmail.com, and we will read those out on Thursday along with our remote viewing show. So those are audience participation. If you want to learn how to remote view and get into that paradigm, check us out. We're getting better as we go. So it's going to be a fun journey together. and anybody can participate.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I do the trilogues every Sunday with Ethan Indigo and Ricard Calvario, where we talk about a lot of really interesting interconnected stuff that doesn't seem interconnected at first, but we always find a way to synthesize that information and make it palatable and reachable for people to really start to understand. So, and also don't get fooled by fake cylinder seals like I did. Don't be like me with that.
Dude, I'm glad that we talked about
You blew
that.
my mind at first. I was like, "What the hell?" But that's okay. We learned something today, right? We learned something.
Hey, there wasn't
okay.
on the site saying it was real, but who knows? So.
Dude, look, there's stories that mention that kind of stuff, guys. When you view things, man, try to view it through a lens that's not, subjective to any side, right? And I'm not. I know it's cliche to view it objectively, but like it's true, man. It's. I think it's important, and I think you can find different interpretations, which make certain things beautiful, right? Or you can, you may find the ugly side of things, right? I don't know, but depending on what path you're on. So, be your own mystic.
Also, Jules, send me your the link through X, your merch site.
Yeah, it's graypill.printify.me. I don't even think I said it because I was talking about this fucking hand on my shirt. But but yeah, because it's the image of it is quite captivating when you look at it. You're just like, wow.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. Also, getting into the Thracian peoples, dude. I mean, down to what they wore to battle is just like, whoa. No one else was dressing like this. Well, there were other people, but anyway, show's over.
Yeah, I'll get it to you through from you through X.
I got you, brother. And we still got to get my wife on your show because you reminded me about that, and I need to follow through.
Yeah, and I'll ask you about your show as well. And Nick, you guys have merch for the Rejects, right? I can't remember.
Oh yes, it's on the it's on the site now. Yes, we got 2 different T-shirts that we could choose.
What site is it on?
Occult Research Institute. Yeah,
okay, cool.
I have on there for merch now. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. All right.
Yeah.
I'll get the link from you because I will.
Just DM me then. Just DM me.
Yeah. I'll scrounge some money aside, and I'd like to support both you guys. So, anyways, thank you guys all. I appreciate you guys coming on. It was great to meet Brandon and Headless. Thanks to all the viewers and listeners and watchers out there. Before I go, please subscribe to the Divulgence podcast on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Tune in tomorrow. We have a nice 4-way Epstein discussion with William Ramsey, Adam from the Truth Desk, and Hadsburg Jolly West. On the 19th, we got Crow 777 coming on. The 20th, we got Adam from the Truth Desk coming on. And we got much more coming on in March. So make sure to check it out and check the in the description for the affiliation information. And that's about it. Thanks again, guys. I'll definitely be in touch. And we'll have to rock out again soon, guys, because this was fucking good shit. So everybody be safe, be well, and take care, guys.
Later.